And good evening. I'm George Parker, the superintendent of Newport News Public Schools. It is Thursday, April 30th, and we are proud to host our second Facebook Live forum for the community. Thank you for joining us this evening as we share and discuss our plans for the fourth quarter at home learning, meal service, social emotional supports, senior activities, and other events. Newport News Public Schools is continuing many of the services that we provide our students and families in our city. Our goal this evening are to provide you with the information necessary to take advantage of the offerings that we have for the remaining days of our school year and coming weeks, and also to inform families of important information. Our second goal is also to receive information from our community as well, so we encourage you to please post questions on our Facebook page, and we will respond to as many questions during this session as possible. Now, before hearing from my colleagues on the panel this evening, let me begin by providing some general remarks regarding our current state of operations due to the impact of the COVID-19 crisis. As we continue to receive weekly, national, and state briefings on the spread of the virus, it is important that our community is fully aware that our school division is committed to ensuring the safety of our students, staff, and community are at the forefront of our actions and future decisions. We truly understand the inconveniences that this crisis has placed on the daily lives of our parents, students, and staff. That said, the inconveniences far outweigh the alternatives associated with placing individuals at greater risk under these uncertain conditions. In short, what we know about the virus is that it has the potential for a higher rate of community spread when individuals are in closer proximity and protective gear and proper cleaning procedures are not maintained. Consequently, our current and future decisions will continue to align with the guidance and direction of organizations such as the Center for Disease Control and our state health department and our local governments. We will continue to look towards our governor and state agencies as we make future decisions, if there are any relaxations in standards or how we deal with the COVID-19 virus. Now, we've heard your frustrations regarding greater access to our schools and communications regarding future events. We are listening, and we will continue to make future decisions in the best interest of the safety of all concerned. Before I introduce the panelists this evening, I want to take a moment to say thank you to our school staff, administrators, and our support staff who work tirelessly to provide home instruction, daily meal service, and school office hours. Without your hard work and dedication, we would not be able to provide daily home instruction to our 28,000 students or serve over 5,000 meals daily. I have two quick acknowledgments. Last week, our administrative professionals celebrated their Administrators Professional Appreciation Week. We send a special thank you to our professional office staff for your devoted support of office management and customer service, if any of you are looking in this evening. And we also would like to thank our student leaders. Last week was also National School Leadership Week. We want to thank the many student leaders for their service to our schools and our community. I'm sending a special thank you to our student leadership teams and my Student Advisory Committee on Education. I appreciate your service. To all of our students, I know these are challenging times. In addition to your academic work, this is a time of year when we celebrate all that you have done and accomplished. This is even more disappointing to our senior class. Please know that we are doing all that we can to ensure that we honor and recognize your accomplishments. You will hear more about our plans this evening and in the coming weeks. We ask that you please continue to practice healthy habits and continue to work on your school assignments. We are working hard to make sure that you remain connected to our teachers and instruction. We love you and we care about you. Joining me this evening as panelists are School Board Member Dr. Terry Best, our Chief Academic Officer, Dr. James Pohl, Executive Director of Secondary School Leadership, Dr. Felicia Barnett, and Community Relations Technician Emily Dugan, who's not on the camera, who will be fielding questions for the community. We will begin with opening remarks by our panelists. School Board Member Dr. Terry Best is a retired Newport News Public School administrator and graduate of Newport News Public Schools. She is actively involved in many community activities and is an advocate for youth development. Dr. Best was elected to the school board in May 2018. So, Dr. Best.
Good evening. It is a pleasure to join you this evening. As Dr. Parker shared, the pandemic and subsequent closure of schools and businesses has greatly impacted all of us, especially the students and the families we serve. We understand the challenges facing our families. The school board and our leadership team will continue to partner with our families to provide at-home learning materials, meals to go for students, and other helpful resources. I am proud of how our staff has stepped up to support our students, family, and community while dealing with their own circumstances. So tonight, I am taking a few minutes to thank our dedicated staff, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Across the school division, teachers at all levels are ensuring that students are engaged in at-home learning with packets, online instruction, and virtual class meetings. So special thanks to the teachers, coaches, school counselors, interventionists, assistants, and the teaching learning team. And kudos to our school social workers and psychologists who are making sure our students continue to receive the social and emotional support they need to thrive. Additionally, employees in child nutrition, transportation, technology, and security are actively supporting our students and families affected by the school closures. At sites throughout the city, our child nutrition staff, bus drivers, bus monitors, and security officers are distributing meals to go and instructional packets to families. Praise is also extended to our bus maintenance team for keeping our buses rolling. Our Meals to Go team goes above and beyond every single day. In fact, tomorrow is School Lunch Hero Day. So we thank all of our lunch heroes for serving over 5,000 students at 24 locations throughout the city. Kudos are extended to our technology team. They have distributed more than 1,100 Chromebooks and 250 Wi-Fi hotspots to families to support our students. I want to thank and acknowledge our professional office staff, our administration staff, and our school leadership teams for ensuring that our essential operations continue. These are trying times, but together, our Newport News Public Schools family is making a difference for the students and families we serve. On behalf of our school board and our leadership team, thank you for all you do. Thank you. Dr. Parker?
And thank you. I'll turn it over now to our next panelist, Dr. James Pohl, our Chief Academic Officer. As the leader of our teaching and learning team, Dr. Pohl has spearheaded our continuation of learning plans. So, Dr. Pohl, please introduce yourself and good evening.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Parker. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our second Facebook Live session. As you're aware, we have communicated the fourth quarter plans for learning at both the elementary and secondary levels. There are a few highlights I would like to mention prior to the question and answer session. For the elementary plan, if you have not communicated with your child's teacher, please do so as soon as possible. If you're having difficulties reaching them, please reach out to the building principal for assistance. In order for teachers to give students feedback, there needs to be a solid communication plan in place with every single student. As we progress through the remainder of the year, there will be exciting opportunities for elementary students to concentrate on the 5 C's: collaboration, communication, citizenship, critical thinking, and creativity as well. These opportunities will include the chance to earn certificates and badges for students as they progress through the activities. Also, as a reminder, students have until May 15th to submit work in an effort to improve their third quarter grades, which will in turn help their final grades. So again, please reach out to your teachers if you have not done so. For the secondary plan, students should be receiving instruction from their teachers and will need to complete the lessons and work online. If your child is in need of a device, please make the principal aware so we can get a Chromebook distributed to each student. Remember, students must submit work during the fourth quarter to avoid getting an incomplete and having to make up work over the summer or at the beginning of the school year in the fall. As with elementary students, secondary students have until May 15th to submit work to improve their third quarter grades. Just as of a note, about 10% of our secondary students received a grade of I or incomplete for the third quarter. If assignments are not submitted to teachers, they'll have to revert to the failing grade that students had as of March 13th. So please work with your teacher. You can still submit all the assignments you need to improve your third quarter grades at this time. Please make sure your children are reaching out to complete these needed assignments. Also, secondary students have the opportunity to earn grades during the fourth quarter that can help their average grades. So submit those assignments to your teachers on a timely basis. As of now, we're looking at several options for summer learning based on what we will be allowed to do with social distancing needs being met. We're looking at all options, including an online program for K-12. Once this has been developed, we'll communicate the specifics and information out as soon as possible. This is still a work in progress. Finally, if you have a child with special needs and you have not heard from anyone to assist your child with their learning, please reach out to their school or the central office to receive the needed assistance. The Special Education Office will also be hosting parent professional development to assist with at-home learning. Be on the lookout for more information on this opportunity. I'd like to close my comments by thanking the teaching and learning team for all their efforts they have put forth to redesign learning during this time, the school leaders in our school leadership department, as well as support staff for all of their support and assistance, and most of all to teachers for rethinking how we can educate all students in such a new format. Also, thanks to all the parents and the students for partnering with us during this time. And remember, once we are through this crisis, we will not measure our success on state assessments or completion of initiatives. We'll measure our success on how well we supported each other and beat this pandemic together. Thank you.
And thank you, Dr. Pohl. And finally, Dr. Felicia Barnett, our Executive Director of Secondary School Leadership. Dr. Barnett's team has been working with our building principals and student leaders to ensure that we are soliciting great ideas around senior activities and graduation ceremonies. Dr. Barnett?
Thank you, Dr. Parker. It is a pleasure to participate in tonight's Facebook Live forum. Our school leadership teams are dedicated to ensuring that our students and staff have the support they need to remain engaged in teaching and learning. Our first priority is the well-being of our students. Our school leaders are engaging students and families through social media, virtual spirit weeks, contests, virtual events, and other activities. We miss our students, and we are using a variety of interactive tools to connect with them. All schools are hosting office hours each Wednesday between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Families may pick up medications, talk with school office staff by phone, and register and withdraw their children by appointment only. Please contact us if you have any questions or comments. We're committed to supporting students and families during school closure. We value our partnership that we have with our families. Thank you.
And thank you, Dr. Barnett, and all panelists. And before going to questions, I'd like to also put a little bit more information out, since I will field any operational questions this evening, regarding our meal-to-go sites. As mentioned, we're currently serving 24 locations throughout the city, over 5,000 students per day. We plan to add an additional site soon, which will be at Discovery STEM Academy. More information will come out once that site is up and online. And another very exciting opportunity is that we will be offering take-home dinners. Will be included in our meal-to-go service on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, thanks to a partnership with the World Central Kitchen. So families, please take note of that as well, and please take advantage of that as well. And thank you, World Central Kitchen, for partnering with Newport News Public Schools. And I would be remiss if I did not mention the work and dedication of our school bus drivers to ensure that we're able to continue not only to expand our meal sites, but that they're working on a daily basis to ensure that our families receive the meals along with our cafeteria staff. So thank you, bus drivers, for all that you do. We know you're an integral part of our team, and we appreciate your commitment to our school mission. At this time, I will turn it over to Mrs. Dugan and open up the forum for questions.
Dr. Barnett, will Newport News Public Schools have high school commencement ceremonies this year?
We have heard from many of our seniors and our families, and high school graduation is an important milestone, and we're committed to doing all that we can to ensure that the class of 2020 is able to participate in this significant occasion. Through our senior surveys and focus groups, we've solicited input from the class of 2020. Nearly 65% of our seniors have shared that they would prefer an in-person commencement ceremony. Given this data, we're considering the best options for our senior class while remaining compliant with our governor's orders. We're currently in the process of developing alternative graduation plans and celebratory activities. For example, during the week of June 1st through 5th, all of our high schools will host Senior Spirit Week to recognize and celebrate the class of 2020 while following social distancing guidelines. Activities may include curbside celebratory pickups of caps and gowns, cords, hoods, and yearbooks, senior t-shirts. We'll be having virtual recognitions, social media challenges and school-to-school competitions, Instagram Live talent competitions, and many more activities. While Newport News Public Schools has secured the alternative dates of July 9th through 12th and August 13th through 16th with the Ferguson Center of the Arts and the Hampton Coliseum, we are also considering other ways to celebrate this important milestone. We will ensure that the class of 2020 has an opportunity to don their graduation regalia and celebrate their accomplishment while inviting limited number of families to participate with them. I look forward to continuing to sharing information regarding our graduation plans as we continue to firm those up, along with aligning with our governor's orders and our state superintendent's direction. Thank you.
Dr. Parker, what is the plan for returning in the fall?
Well, that question really is ahead of where we are right now as a state and as a nation. As we know that the COVID-19 crisis starts to relax some of the restrictions, what school will look like moving forward into the fall is totally dependent on the proper management of this virus and ensuring that we do not further along community spread. So there are plenty of possibilities, and obviously I can go into a ton of them, but without that clear 2020 picture, it is very hard to say what the daily operations of schools will look like in the fall and even when the school year will start. So we're going to have to continue to stay very tuned in to our Center for Disease Control, our local state health department, and our governor's office to ensure that we have a very good plan in place to begin our 2020 school year. But there may be some restrictions in terms of space, how students congregate, how many students are attending school on a daily basis, whether we'll be doing virtual. There are plenty of possibilities, and right now it is too premature to really give an accurate response to that question.
Dr. Pohl, will there be a summer program?
So we are looking at several different options for summer based on where we are right now. We're not sure what the social distancing will look like this summer and what we'll be able to do face-to-face, so we're looking at different online options as well as some blended options. We're looking at how we can extend learning this summer, certainly for our students as we progress through, and to assist without what's called summer slides, so with students not losing knowledge as we progress on this longer period of no face-to-face instruction. So we will have something, it's just not decided what we'll be able to have, but we're planning for any event, and as soon as we have that, we'll communicate it out quickly.
Dr. Barnett, when is the last day for seniors?
Our last day for seniors is Friday, June 5th. Traditionally, our seniors finish their academic work 1 week prior to the closure of school, and we'll continue with that. So once again, our last day is Friday, June 5th for our seniors.
Dr. Parker, will employees still get their contracts?
We are definitely planning to make sure that our employees still receive contracts. There are still a few things in limbo in terms of the state budget, and our right now we're still working with our city on finalizing our budget for the FY21 year. But we feel very confident that we will be able to have our contracts worked out for our employees as we similarly as before we move into the summer as we've done in the past.
Dr. Pohl, can elementary students check out Chromebooks?
At this time, we are not checking out Chromebooks to elementary students.
Dr. Barnett, when will students be able to get their belongings from school?
We are currently looking at beginning a plan to allow our students to get some of their personal belongings. Of course, we want to continue under our governor's orders of maintaining social distancing. However, in the near future, we'll be communicating a plan to allow for students to pick up items out of their locker, band instruments, and other personal belongings that they may have. We do have several schools that will be having some of the work done in terms of within their building, and so separate schedules may come out a little earlier for those schools prior to the work being done in the building, but we will communicate that to all of our families.
Dr. Pohl, what is the plan for summer school for credit advancement?
Again, with summer school, we're still up in the air. For credit advancement, we would probably be looking at virtual programs. So there would be a lot of asynchronous learning, possibly through Virtual Virginia's platform, so that we can make sure that our students are accommodated at all levels.
Dr. Best, will the school board change next year's calendar?
No, not at this time. Right now, we will still continue under the calendar that was approved at the March 24th school meeting. So the 2021 calendar at this time will remain the same.
Dr. Barnett, a parent heard that fall sports are canceled. Is this true?
We have not made any announcement that fall sports are canceled. It is our hope that we'll be able to reopen school and continue on with our normal sports programs. But at this time, we have not made any announcement that that has been canceled.
Dr. Pohl, what resources are available to families if parents are essential employees?
So the learning resources would still be what we have, whether it's the office hours, the elementary level, the packets, the secondary level, we have the online programs going now, so that schedule's a little bit different. Depending on the level of the child, really depends on the support. If the children have to go to a daycare center because they're of a younger age, we could very easily send some of the packets to the daycare center if we're made aware of which centers the children are going to. But as far as specific additional support, there's none at this time beyond the learning that we're sending home.
Dr. Barnett, when will refunds be given for canceled events?
Our schools are currently calculating all of the refunds that they need to distribute. They have made a commitment to mail those refunds to our families by mid-May. As we are looking at some of those activities that have been canceled, we're getting those names and making sure that we have the right amount, working with our vendors. And so by mid-May, our students who had paid for various activities and field trips and things of that sort should be receiving refunds in the mail.
Dr. Pohl, how can families prove students are doing the assignments if there are technical issues when submitting them?
It's a great question. So if you have technical issues, please take a picture of the technical issue, because we're really doing everything we can to benefit the student at this time, and then reach out to the teacher. And if that doesn't help, we do have a helpline set up for technical assistance. You can find that information on our website. So please reach out to them for assistance on submitting or anything you need with technical help while doing the student work.
Dr. Parker, are dinner meals being distributed at the same time as the lunch meals?
That is correct. Currently, we have made the arrangement with the World Central Kitchen for Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday distribution to also include dinners provided by the World Central Kitchen.
Dr. Pohl, can families register now for preschool?
Absolutely. If you go to our website, you'll see directions. We are doing registrations for preschool and kindergarten, as well as new students who have moved into the area during this pandemic. We're doing some registrations for new students as well.
Dr. Barnett, are you considering 5th grade and 8th grade promotion ceremonies?
While we may not have our traditional promotional ceremonies that we've had in the past due to our guidelines and regulations under the pandemic, our schools are committed to continuing to celebrate our students who are being promoted onto middle school or high school in a virtual way. And so there are various celebrations that will take place to just commemorate this event. So our schools will be communicating those ways that they'll be celebrating that event to their families.
Dr. Pohl, does 4th quarter work for elementary school students count towards their final grade?
There is no grading during 4th quarter for elementary students beyond the up to May 15th, where the students can submit work for 3rd quarter to improve their grades. However, since there's no chance for live instruction or anything else, there are no 4th quarter grades for elementary. So their grades will be finalized based through the first 3 quarters of the school year.
Dr. Pohl, my daughter has workbooks at school. Can she use those instead of the packets?
So at this point, we're really trying to drive the packets so they're division-wide so that we can give better support of learning across the division. We're not relying on workbooks because some schools have different workbooks than others if they were able to purchase them. However, if a parent has something they want to supplement learning, that's absolutely fine. But the base of the learning is going to go through the learning packets at this time.
Dr. Pohl, we can't log into Dreambox. Can we get assistance?
Absolutely. Please reach out to the tech helpline, and they'll be able to assist with that. And they'll put you in touch with the right people so that you can log in, because we want you to have access to all of the materials that we have if you're able to access them.
For Dr. Pohl again, is work done through Google Classroom enough, or do we still have to submit the packet?
So if it's really, you have to discuss that with your teacher. If it's secondary, the Google Classroom is going to be rocking and rolling, and that's a fine way to submit it. If it's elementary and that's the way the teachers ask for it to be submitted, then that is perfectly fine as well. The submissions are really driven by the teacher so that we could use consistent communication that they've done all year. So if it's a tool that they've been using and that's how they're submitting it, that's perfectly fine. So please communicate directly with your teacher on how to submit work.
Dr. Pohl, we have 5 children trying to do their work at once. Has that been considered when distributing these learning plans?
So if the elementary learning plans, you can pick up as many as you need. I understand it's going to be a difficult time. And as we talked about at the last Facebook Live, learning is just different right now, and it's a challenge that we all really face. If we're talking about secondary and you have multiple children in the household and you need another device, please reach out to your principal and ask for an additional device for the household so that you can have enough devices for your students to do the work. But we have tried to take every single thing into consideration, including families with larger amounts of children in the house.
Dr. Pohl, will we have remote learning in the fall?
So I think just like the question that went to Dr. Parker around how are we going to open in the fall, it's really too early to determine. However, we are doing professional development with our teachers right now throughout the rest of this year and into the summer on blended and online learning. So that's a definite possibility. The hopes are, no matter what, for secondary courses, for high school courses, to have online programs, a more robust online system anyway in place. So it's a great possibility for students who may want to do it. But as far as for all students, we're not sure how that plan's going to lay out yet.
Dr. Barnett, when do seniors get their cap and gown?
During the week of June 1st through 5th, we have named that as our Senior Spirit Week. And so during that week, our schools are creating a variety of activities to celebrate seniors. One of those activities includes a curbside celebratory pickup or distribution of many of the items that they have earned as a senior, one of those being their caps and gowns. And so each school will communicate their day during that week in which seniors can come in and pick up their gift package, which would include not only their cap and gown, but their yearbooks, their yard signs that may be created for them, their senior t-shirts, and a variety of other things that are being planned for them. So stay tuned to hear from your school's high school, but this will take place during the week of June 1st through 5th.
Dr. Pohl, can teachers provide tutoring?
So, of course, teachers during the office hours can provide tutoring. If at the elementary level, if students have devices at home and teachers want to Zoom tutor, that's fine. We're also developing a tutoring plan for all levels of students, tapping into some different colleges and universities that have started that as well, and looking to utilize maybe some high school students to do some tutoring for lower levels. But absolutely have your student reach out to their teacher during office hours if they need additional assistance, and the teacher can for sure do some tutoring online with them.
Dr. Barnett, can we buy caps and gowns now? And if so, how?
If a family has not had the opportunity to purchase a cap and gown, they certainly can still do so now. They would need to contact their school and set up a time to either come into the school to make that purchase, or that school will connect that family with the sponsor, and that will allow them the opportunity to purchase that through the vendor.
Dr. Pohl, can you provide some clarification between what is required versus what is optional for our elementary packets?
So the communication between the child and the teacher, there are specific amounts of work you have to turn in. We'd like you to do the entire packet and then turn in what you feel was the best representation for the work that needs to be submitted. If you working through the entire packet, make sure that the learning is continuing through this COVID closure that we have right now. However, the specific assignments that are turned in, communicate with your teacher on which ones you're going to submit to show your child's work for the 2-week cycle.
Dr. Pohl, how can my student get a Chromebook? I've been asking for a while and have not heard anything back.
So if you've asked the teacher and asked the principal for a Chromebook, you should have been put on a wait list at this point, or a list, and then you should have been communicated by the Office of Technology, has been reaching out to all parents and distributing them on Wednesdays at their school site. If you've communicated with the teacher and principal and haven't gotten one yet or haven't had any other communication, please call the tech helpline and they'll make sure that you're getting on the list. They'll direct you to the right person.
Dr. Barnett, how can I get my elementary school students' yearbook or pick up other items?
Well, what we're doing is we're working to make sure that we are continuing to be aligned with the governor's orders. And so we are making a schedule, and that schedule will be communicated in the near future on when we will be able to distribute those items. We're also working with our vendors that send us those items like yearbooks, and making sure that those are in on time. And so as soon as we've completed with all of that and having those items in, there'll be a schedule created and communicated with our families for pickup, not only for personal items, but things such as yearbooks.
Dr. Pohl, how will a student complete their homebound work?
So homebound students should follow what we're doing with the normal learning, the learning for the COVID learning right now. So if they're an elementary student, they should be starting to refer to the packets and working with their regular teacher. If they're secondary, they should reach out to their teachers to find out what work is going on as well. Since it's almost like all students run homebound right now, so we're looking at instruction in a different way, and all of the course teachers are prepared to assist homebound students as well.
Dr. Pohl, can parents get answer keys for the elementary packets?
It's a great question. Let me look into it and see if we can send an answer key out or what we can do for that. I'll talk to our director of elementary ed and we'll post a question on, or the answer to that later on social media.
Dr. Barnett, when will you make a decision about graduation ceremonies?
We are currently in planning for graduation ceremonies. There is a state call that will occur next week, and our school superintendent will be a part of that with other superintendents across the state to receive some direction in reference to graduation ceremonies that will be allowed or what restrictions may occur within the state of Virginia, of course, aligning with our governor's orders. It is our hope to be able to communicate a plan to our families within the next 2 weeks, given once we are able to get more information. Of course, we create our plan based on what our orders are from our state superintendent as well as from our governor. So stay tuned, and we're hoping to be able to communicate that within the next 2 weeks.
Dr. Pohl, since there are no grades considered for elementary for the fourth 9 weeks, and the governor has stated no grades at this time, why is there so much pressure for high schools to provide assignments for grades?
So the secondary students, it's an option for grades. I just want that to be reminded that we're going to grade submitted items for high schools to allow students to improve their grades. However, in the secondary courses, to show that the learning has happened, we're asking students to complete the assignments so that they can show mastery of the subject area and move into the next subject area without having to do any more work over the summer or in the fall, because they will have shown mastery of that subject area. So again, with the grading for secondary, it's really optional. If students are pleased with their grades through third quarter and they do the work to show mastery, and it may not be as good a grade as what they have been making in the past, then they don't have to use it as a graded assignment. It's just used to show mastery so they can go to the next level without having to do any work over the summer or in the fall to show that they've learned the topics that were missed for March 13th through the end of the year.
Dr. Parker, how will NNPS use the school emergency relief funds?
Well, at this time, we have not received the CARES Act funding from and that hasn't been released at the state level. There's a variety of ways the CARES Act funding will be allowed to use. It could be used for summer programming, for additional technology, for compensation to support for the support of essential personnel. There is a variety of ways that funding can be used. It is treated as one-time funding, which is important. It will not be recurring, and it will it will be allowed to go into next year if we have additional costs that are associated with this COVID-19 crisis that lag into the fall and into the new school year. So there's a variety of, to answer that question, there's a variety of ways the funding can be used. Once that funding is made available, we'll be happy to include an FAQ, or frequently asked question, segment in our communication regarding CARES Act funding. But at this time, we have not received that funding that no other school divisions have at this point.
Dr. Barnett, can families still order yearbooks?
At this time, I believe our yearbook order has ended. However, there may be some additional yearbooks that schools will order in addition to the ones that were selected prior to the school closure. So I would encourage our families, if you're interested in purchasing a yearbook from a surplus that may still be at the school, to contact their school, and they can share that information if there are available yearbooks.
Dr. Pohl, what if parents can't follow teacher assignment due dates?
The due dates are very flexible in both elementary and secondary. We're just asking them to submit the work as on timely basis as possible. We know everybody's home situation is very different right now, just like we heard earlier with essential personnel that might be struggling to help their students stay up with the schoolwork, or the household that has 5 children in it. We know it's got to be flexible. We're trying to be as helpful and open with our students as possible. So please just continue doing the work and submit it as you can along the line.
Dr. Pohl, is Dreambox optional? Can we just complete the packet work?
Dreambox is optional. It's there to support the packet work, but the packet work is what we're requiring for the continued learning.
As a follow-up to that, if a child is logging on to Dreambox, Dr. Pohl, are teachers able to track this completion?
I believe so. I believe teachers are able to access their students' records through Dreambox, yes.
Dr. Pohl, will elementary work be graded?
Elementary work will not be graded for fourth quarter. However, remember, through May 15th, students can do work to improve their third quarter grades still. So continue to communicate with your teacher to improve your grades through third quarter.
Dr. Pohl, will students move to the next grade level or repeat the same grade next year?
Students will move to the next grade level as long as they were in good standing as of March 13th. In elementary, they'll move up as long as they were in good standing, and we'll incorporate all the new all the standards they missed into the beginning or throughout their next school year. Secondary students will move to the next course or next grade level based on where they were March 13th. However, if they don't do the work that's to show mastery and they receive incompletes fourth quarter, they still have to complete that work before they can go into the next course. But we're not looking to hold anybody back, especially if they were in good standing as of March 13th. And if a child was struggling as of March 13th, they still have through May 15th to submit their work and their assignments to teachers to improve their grades. So please, again, communicate with your teacher on that.
Dr. Barnett, are schools open for business?
We are pleased to be open on Wednesdays for our families. Every Wednesday, our schools are open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We ask that families schedule an appointment to be able to go into their school. And the purposes for opening is so that if there are families that still have medications or would like to register or withdraw their child, they can certainly schedule an appointment for going into the school on Wednesday. Also, we know that there are items that are still left in our schools by our students in their lockers and things of that nature. In the near future, we will be communicating a schedule so that students can pick up those items. But at this time, we are open on Wednesdays for scheduled appointments for medication pickup, registration, and withdrawals.
Dr. Parker, will employee contracts be automatically renewed come July?
We're going to follow the same procedure we've always followed with employee contracts, and we're currently feel we're on track to follow the same schedule. We normally provide our employees with contracts by the end of the school year, prior to the end of the school year, and we will do so again this year. If anything changes regarding that process, we'll provide proper notification. But it would be our pleasure to make sure every employee has the contract moving into next year prior to departing for the summer.
Dr. Pohl, is there strict guidance being given to high schools about the grading this fourth 9 weeks? I'm still seeing a huge variance amongst teachers.
So grading, the work that's submitted is a teacher's responsibility, and that goes back to policy. The teachers assign the grades. So if you have some questions or concerns around grading, please contact the teacher or the school administrator at the school.
Dr. Pohl, can elementary students earn extra credit?
We're not doing extra credit at this point, but again, reach out to your teacher by May 15th to be able to submit work that can help them for their third quarter grades, which would help their final grade.
Dr. Pohl, how many hours a day should middle school students spend on their work?
The work should be about the schedule that we laid out. The face-to-face or asynchronous instruction by subject is about an hour a day that could be face-to-face by subject, and the students may have up to 20 to 30 minutes a day of each subject at most at this time.
Dr. Barnett, how are you keeping families informed with regards to deadlines for seniors to purchase caps and gowns, the list of activities coming up, et cetera?
Each school has communicated to their families, especially of our seniors, first of all, in terms of the reimbursement of any activities. And then the activities that are coming up, we are continuing to plan and firm those activities up. And in the near future, our schools will be communicating special events around our senior week. They'll be using a variety of ways to communicate, including their social media pages. So I encourage our families and our students to tune into those pages, as well as using other methods that we have, such as our all-call method through phone, phone calls and emails so that you can hear about upcoming events.
Dr. Pohl, how will you ensure that New Horizons students receive their certifications?
So that's something directly with New Horizons. They're still working with their students directly. Certifications for seniors, it depends on when we're able to test again. It might run into the fall. I'm not positive on how New Horizons is running their program at this point for the certification testing, but I know they have a plan in place to make sure students can earn the certification so that they can go right to the workplace if that's their desire.
Dr. Pohl, will packets be given until the end of the school year?
Our hopes are for our last packet to go out, I think June 1st is the date to complete the school year. So yes, we'll have a few more packets to go out. We'll continue to put them online, and I've heard word that a couple sites are running out a little sooner. If one runs out, please notify the principal. We'll get notified right away, and we'll make sure there are more packets there. We did increase by about 15% the amount of printed packets that we were putting at bins at each home school, as well as at the Meals to Go sites.
Dr. Pohl, can work from the beginning of the fourth quarter to May 15th be used to improve third quarter grades?
It's really a discussion with your teacher on that. If there are topics that were covered during the third quarter, absolutely that work can be used to go back and improve their grades. But again, the grading really is between the teacher and the student.
Dr. Pohl, are final exams canceled?
Yes, there are no final exams this year. I can hear the cheering from here.
All right, Dr. Pohl, why is my son's teacher saying it's mandatory to do Google Classroom work and packet work?
So if the teachers put some of the work into Google Classroom, that could be a reason why. But I would, again, if that's what the teacher's saying, I would reach out to the school administrator, because at this point, the work that the division has provided is within the packets. In some instances, if it's a gifted classroom, possibly the teacher might be doing extended learning through Google. So I'd really have that discussion between the teacher and the child. And if that's still not satisfactory, please reach out to the administrator of that school.
Dr. Pohl, if fourth quarter work is optional, and if seniors have passed all 3 quarters, do they have to do the fourth quarter work?
That's a popular question, even around my own household right now. That we want to see the mastery of learning to make sure that the seniors understood what they had. If seniors want to make sure that they can, if they need to raise their GPA or anything else, they can submit the work, get a higher grade fourth quarter. However, with seniors, as long as they've shown mastery of the topics, we are not going to hold them back from walking across the stage.
Dr. Barnett, will we have middle school welcome night or freshman welcome night?
We originally had those events planned for our schools, for our students to enter the schools and have an opportunity to be there. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we could not continue with those plans. But our schools are planning ways to showcase their school and reach out to their upcoming students. We encourage our rising 6th graders and our rising 9th graders to begin going on the school's website to learn more about the school, as well as their social media pages, to begin to get into that school spirit and learn all about their upcoming schools. Schools have begun thinking about ways to maybe share with their upcoming students virtual tours and things of that nature. So I would just say stay tuned, and those schools will be reaching out. However, an actual in-person open house is not planned at this time. Traditionally, though, in the fall, and depending upon what our restrictions are, we typically do invite our 6th graders and 9th graders to visit the school prior to school starting. And so we'll just stay tuned based on what our orders will be, if we'll be able to continue that in the fall prior to the start of school.
Dr. Pohl, are students safe using Zoom with teachers?
Yes, we have done extensive professional development with our teachers. We're using passcodes for Zoom. There's a waiting room. Teachers are required to have students use their real names when they come in, so they won't admit them if they don't recognize the name. But we've done an extensive amount of work to make sure that our teachers know how to properly use Zoom and all the protections that they've recently put into place.
Let's see. Dr. Barnett, can student athletes practice if they spread out?
No, at this time, we have none of our sports teams practicing. We are committed to adhering to our social distancing guidelines as well as our governor's order. So at this time, none of our sports teams are engaging in any practices.
Dr. Pohl, when does fourth quarter end? You keep referencing May 15th. Could you provide some clarification?
Sure. So, and sorry about that for the confusion. May 15th is just the deadline for submitting work for third quarter because we're going to open the grade books back up for third quarter. But fourth quarter ends June 12th, the last day of school.
Dr. Pohl, since the SOLs have been canceled, will the students have to take them next year? How will they get the required SOLs for future graduation requirements?
So the state has given us some leniency on that to be able to do some locally verified credit, awarded credit if needed to get the verified credit for students. Especially our juniors would be looking into that, or certain sophomores that might be not taking a math course anymore and they still need a verified credit. So we are working on those plans fervently right now. The plan at the moment is to not do SOL testing in the fall, but to resume it in the spring. And we'll develop individual plans for each student based on their needs for verified credits. If they've taken the course and they still need a verified credit, we'll do tutoring and offer them the SOL if they cannot earn a locally awarded verified credit this year.
Dr. Pohl, can you talk more about expectations and support for students with IEPs?
Sure. So each student who has an IEP, their case manager or their collaborative teacher should have been in touch with them to be able to offer additional assistance through the process that we've been using. If you have not heard from your teacher or a case manager, please reach out to your principal. We are also developing some professional learning really for parents of special needs students that I believe we're going to roll out May 11th to assist. And then ultimately in the summer or in the fall, based on what we're able to do, we'll make sure we do extensive opportunities for our students with special needs who might be struggling during this time to make sure they get caught up and they're not falling behind their peers.
Dr. Pohl, will there be a celebration for students graduating from preschool?
At this point, just similar with everything else, we're not able to put something like that together. Each preschool is looking at how they can do that virtually. However, there's nothing that we can do face-to-face at this point.
Dr. Pohl, my special education student is struggling. What can I do?
Please reach out again to your case manager or one of the co-teachers that works with your child. If there's no response there is a link directly on the at-home learning plan or on our website that a contact link for special ed services, and they will assist you as well. We're doing everything we can to make sure we're getting as much assistance to our special needs students as possible.
Dr. Pohl, can teachers be required to have Zoom meetings with students? Three of my students have had great results from interactive and instructional time during these Zoom meetings.
So secondary, yes. Elementary, since we can't provide the technology everywhere, we just can't require the Zoom meetings for teachers to host. I know that a lot of teachers are doing some Zoom meetings in elementary, or they're doing morning meetings. Secondary, yes. Elementary, since we can't provide it, we can't mandate that they're doing Zoom meetings.
Dr. Pohl, will high school GPAs be determined with third quarter grades?
Correct. So they'll still be determined with final grades. However, final grades will be determined based off the third quarter, or if the secondary student improves their grade during the fourth quarter, then they'll get the better of the two grades.
Okay. Dr. Pohl, is Virtual Virginia an option for some classes?
Absolutely. We are actually working in a relationship with Virtual Virginia right now. We had an online meeting with them last week to look at their structure and to look at their learning management system. The content supervisors and specialists are now looking at the content that they have and to see how we can get all of our teachers trained to use their learning management system as well as the content so that we can integrate it into some of the work that we're doing. And also we're going to open up our Virtual Virginia class offerings in the fall a little bit more broadly than what we have in the past. And as soon as we have that plan, we'll communicate it out and we'll allow students to change around their schedules based on their needs as well.
Dr. Pohl, by not having the fourth quarter work, what effect will the type of diploma come for seniors? What will they receive? How will that affect their diploma?
It should not affect their diploma at all. If your student was borderline between an advanced or standard diploma, please reach out to your school counselor. All that contact information is on the at-home learning site. But there should be no effect based on the closure of March 13th on any senior's diploma unless they were not in good standing as of March 13th.
Dr. Pohl, how are students supposed to pick classes for next year?
So students started in doing the pre-registration and picking some classes already before they left for the school year. If they didn't finalize that process, please reach out to the school counselor. I know school counselors are reaching out to students in a process right now. However, if they haven't solidified their class request forms, have them reach directly out to their school counselor so they can complete that process.
Dr. Pohl, what about SAT test opportunities? Who do parents ask about rescheduling the test?
So that's SAT is done directly through College Board. They announced a couple weeks ago that they are looking at doing possible online testing in the fall if needed. That's it. Go to College Board's website. They have a great deal of information on their site. It's collegeboard.org, as well as the ACT, which I believe is act.org. They're both looking at doing what possibly online. I know I have a junior at home, and we're in the same situation. His was canceled, and this is usually when juniors are really trying to take that assessment. So they're doing something to make sure it looks a little bit different in the fall.
Dr. Pohl, what are you providing for learners that are more advanced in the packets but too young to be even tested for gifted?
So if you go to the academic learning site and you go under the talented and gifted button, we've been uploading grades 1 through 5 extended learning opportunities for students. So I would recommend going through and looking at those, and then we'll be again, as soon as we can, we'll be picking up our gifted assessments, which are generally done in the fall. So we were pretty complete with those already, but we'll continue those next year as we move forward.
Dr. Pohl, how will students receive their last report card?
We're going to mail report cards for fourth quarter again, elementary through secondary, just like we did third quarter.
Dr. Pohl, this is the final question. Are elementary students going to be tested during the fourth quarter?
The only assessment should be performance assessments or some different challenge-based opportunities for them, but there's not going to be a test per se for any elementary student during the at-home learning. It's more we're really trying to instill the love of learning for students, and hopefully you see in the next packet with the certification chances and the badging chances, some exciting opportunities for students to really learn some items that they really want to learn and express their learning in different ways.
So before making closing remarks, I'd like to give our school board member an opportunity for some closing remarks this evening, and thank again Dr. Best for participating in this panel. Dr. Best, if you have any closing remarks, please.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Dr. Parker. I'll be very brief. I first would like to give a shout out to our school board representative, Mr. Nazia Gore. He was awarded a $40,000 scholarship from the College Board, and we would just like to congratulate him and let him know we are so very proud of him. And my second comment is I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in today, but I'd also like to encourage everyone that is eligible to vote to please make sure that you vote. The elections have been moved to May 19th, and you have until May 12th to request an absentee ballot. We strongly encourage you to vote absentee ballot if you are able to. And please remember that the people, local elections are very, very important, and that the people you elect to these local elections are the people that will approve the funds for schools. So thank you very much. Have a good evening.
And thank you, Dr. Best. I've already submitted my absentee ballot, and I encourage folks to do the same. So just students, just to be clear, what you've heard this evening is that we are in the planning for releasing some information regarding senior activities and graduation, and that will be done. There will be a statewide conference call next week, and once we have heard from our state representatives, leaders, we plan to finalize our plans. We thank all the student leaders, our student task force on senior activities. for helping and assisting us and our principals in starting to look forward as how we can make graduation and our senior week meaningful for our students. The goal, students, is for you to walk across the stage in your regalia and to make sure that you are participating in a graduation program. How we make that happen is where what we'll be communicating in the coming days, but we're committed to, we've heard you, we've heard what you're interested in, and we want to make sure that happens for you as best possible and keep everyone safe. I'd like to acknowledge that we are recognizing our Teachers of the Year in the next few days. We will be on a prize patrol tomorrow. I'm acknowledging our finalists for Division-wide Teacher of the Year, so stay tuned to social media as we get around and about and visit our finalists for Division-wide Teachers of the Year. But we're in that process, and every school at this point has a Teacher of the Year identified, so please reach out and congratulate our Teachers of the Year across the division. I'd like to also remind parents that we do have Wednesday office hours between 8 and 4. So if you have, that's a great time to contact your school if you have any business, schedule an appointment. And we also will be sending out information in the future regarding how to pick up items in schools. Please be patient with us as we continue to work with our guidelines in terms of maintaining social distancing. So with that being said, I'd like to close by thanking everyone for tuning in this evening and being a part of this event. I thank our parents for your patience and your home guidance and working with our teachers and working with our students to make sure that they're continuing to remain engaged. And I'd like to also thank our teachers and our instructional personnel for making sure that you're engaging our students and reaching out to families and supporting them in the homes. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Stay safe out there, and we enjoyed meeting with you and visiting you this evening in your homes.